What's up, everyone? Coach OT here, and we have a banger topic for you. And this topic is related to client retention and how to help improve not only your client retention, but client retraction. How do people get to you? How do you pull in more clients? Okay. So the topic today we're going to talk about is USP, unique selling proposition, or another way of saying it is point of change or point of difference. That's a fancy way of saying what distinguishes you between your competition for the client. So we're going to define it. We're going to explain why it's important for client retention, and then we're going to help you figure out what is your USP, so you can start pulling in more clients right now and more so keeping them once you have the appropriate clients in front of you. Okay, let's get started. So basically, to figure out, your USP is your story of why. Why did you get into the profession that you got into? Whether it is you were inspired by your parents, that you had childhood problems, or you in the middle of your life you had something going on that made you change careers, or whatever the case is, that is one of your sticking points of why you're unique, and that is what the meat of your USP. Okay. Also, you have to include in USP your 1%. What makes you 1% unique than others? So every clinician, every therapist, every coach pretty much have a good rough framework of skills in understanding about what they're doing. But what will help the client pick you over them is that 1%. It could be your personality. It could just be your past experience. It can be you have humor and other people don't. You know how to make things easy and other people don't. So you have to figure out what's that 1%. But don't worry, I'm going to give you some questions and some ways to help you kind of tease that out so it could be real clear for you. But these are like three main things that your USP must have. It must be specific. You must know, are you targeting, you got to know the age. Are you targeting 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds, or 40-year-olds? Who are you targeting? Gender wise, if you can bring it down to gender, that's great too. Demographic, where do they live? Are they middle class? Are they lower class? Are they professionals? Like, where do they live? Their occupations, like I said, are they sitting people? Are they moving people? You got to be very specific. The more specific you are with your USP, the much better it is. So you know exactly who you're targeting. You can kind of laser into it, and I will go on later why that's important, be able to specifically know who you're targeting. So that's number one. Number two is use your client's language. Do not use language that your population don't use. So if your population is using medical terms and stuff like that, they're using that. If that's your population, then you should use that language. But if you have laid people that don't really know about medical terms, or they don't understand the lingo that you're saying, you need to make it so where they understand it, so they don't feel intimidated by you when you're speaking to them. All right, you need to be able to relate to them, and language is key. So you have to understand that. And also, the last piece of what your USP needs is, how is your specific solution solving their problem? So when you break it down and you figure out what population that you're going after, who's your ideal client, and you use their language, you're going to start figuring out what are some of the common themes and the common problems that always comes up. So let me give you a quick example of one of mine in the past. So say you're doing postpartum women. So my UPS could be, I help 35 to 40-year-old new moms within the past 6 months that has no time, that's trying to lose 5 pounds and trying to get their energy back or get their sexy back. That's how I put it, with a little humor in there. So it's very specific on what I'm targeting. I'm targeting new moms, okay, within the past 6 months. They are low on energy. They are trying to lose some weight, and they're trying to feel back. They're trying to get themselves back, all right? So what are some of the common things you will probably identify? You'll probably identify they have very little time to kind of do this. So they need to exercise, or the program needs to be very quick and precise. Two, you probably need to be able to include it with a baby, because they don't probably have babysitters. They kind of want to bond. You need to include stuff that have options with children as well. Also, in that whole thing as well, you got to understand that they are not necessarily confident in their body right now. They probably didn't accept it. So you have to basically go a little slower and let them accept themselves on the progress. So that's like a quick off the head kind of thing that you do that's very specific. So those are the 3 things you need to be very specific in that. Okay, enough of the jibber jabber. How do you find it? Okay, so here are some questions. Here's a good question to help you know if you're on to your USP or not. Are you happy staying up late or getting up super early to solve a problem for a personality that you do not like? Let me say that again. Are you happy and are you content? Are you excited of getting up early or staying up late, of helping to find the solution for problems for a personality that you dislike? If you can do that, solve problems for a personality that you dislike, you're not just doing it for the said person, you're doing it for the overall population. Because you might find people that fit your niche, but you just don't like their personality. I just necessarily don't clash. It's okay. You still have a solution. You still have a solution for their problem, but you might not clash. That's fine, okay? We'll go into other videos on how to handle people like that. But that's a great question, all right? So how do you identify it? One way to identify your UPS is, what do you do easy? What comes easy to you but difficult for others? Once you can be able to distinguish that, you understand your passion. So if it's easy for you for late weight loss people, that's your niche. If you're in the rehab realm and shoulders are what you do, then that's what you do. If knee replacements are what you do, then that's what you do. If backs, necks, or you like neurological strokes, or you are into sports, whatever it is, whatever comes easy for you and difficult for the other people, that is the niche, that is the realm that you stay in. Stay in that realm. Okay. Step 2, how do you identify your ideal client? Where are they located? How do you relate to them? You have to find out where your clients are at so you can go get them. All right. Your USP will help you draw them in, but you have to put it in places that they are at. If you don't do that, you're just putting it out there to a population that is not going to respond to it because it's not specifically built or catered toward them. So that's another question right there. Also, we talk about the language. The language is very important. I can't emphasize this enough. You have to speak the same language that you're trying to communicate with them. If you don't, you're going to be basically bolts in the night. You're going to be passing by. You're not going to see each other. You're not going to communicate. It's just not going to work. Even if you have the solution, if you can't relay that to them, it's not going to work. Okay? So those are easy ways of trying to figure out your USP and why it's important. So what I want you to do is leave a link. I want you to leave comments below. Tell me how you communicate with people. Tell me what your USP is and how you found it, and more importantly, how do you utilize it to solve other people's problems. If you're struggling to find it out, I'm going to leave a link, a PDF in the link below so you can download it, and it's going to give you step by step of how to identify it. That's my gift to you. I want you to get out there, utilize it, go over it, and go find your ideal clients. Okay, so this is Coach OT. I want to see you later. Hit you soon.